The 2013 Kansas legislative session has now completed 4 weeks. The first part of the session went fairly slow as 50+ new legislators become acquainted with some of the issues and their committee assignments. But now at this point, there's lots of bills that are showing up as newly introduced each day, and we're beginning to see that the various standing committee meetings are starting to really fill their schedules with hearings on specific bills and even begin to work bills. And this is important because at this point in the session, one of the important dates is February 22nd. At that point, most of the bills that are going to receive any kind of serious consideration this session will need to be through that first committee. And that leaves 2 weeks, and some of the bills, including bills that the Kansas Livestock Association's asked for, are just now starting to show up and be published and assigned a number. So there'll be a lot of committee work and a lot of jockeying here to see which issues and which bills will be considered this session. The 2 bills that the association asked for recently was one to make some modifications and reforms to the State Endangered Species Act. There's another bill that the association asked for to put livestock operations on the same playing field and same opportunity for economic development activity when they expand their operation or when a new one would be built. And this is primarily a temporary sales tax exemption for those input costs. There'll be some of the bills that will be considered in hearings this week. Another bill that the association is supporting is making a slight change in the law in regards to the separation distance for confined animal feeding facilities. This is the distance between that facility and any habitable structure, or usually think of as a residence. And in this case, a feeding facility would be any kind of confined beef cattle operation, a dairy, or a swine unit. But there is a separation distance in law. The issue is that in some cases, when the person wanting to build such a facility first notifies the Department of Health and Environment, in some cases there's been people that have moved in temporary housing to try to block that facility in that window between the time they let the agency know and they filed their application. So this bill just makes it clear that once the entity, the individual, has notified the department that the situation with any separation distance is good on that day. Another bill this week is one that the governor's office has asked for and the association supports. It says simply that if the governor's ever declared any drought situation in Kansas, that automatically triggers that the large hay loads that we see commonly move through the state during a drought, they will not need to receive a permit. The last few years that's been done kind of on a month-by-month basis with an executive order. This just puts it in law. Another bill would create the authority for local people to create their own water enhanced management area, similar to a bill last year that's applicable to groundwater management districts. This bill, however, would be statewide. And another bill that the association testified on last week that could receive further consideration this week, and that is, what is the size of water structures and the dams that make up those structures? At what level is the state going to require permitting? And the department's asked for, and Kansas Livestock Association is supporting, increasing that number, the size of those facilities, especially for those where there's nobody that's living downstream. This week we'll see a briefing by the Business Immigration Coalition to the House Federal and State Affairs Committee on the various immigration issues, trying to indicate to them that why this is a federal issue and reveal some of the economic impacts, negative economic impacts to other states when they've tried to adopt their own immigration law.